Hello everyone, my name is Erin Shelton and I'm currently the 6th through 12th band director in Independence, Kansas, and I'm working on my master's in music education here at K-State. I am studying theories of music education with Dr. Payne, and we each have a theorist and a theory to study, and mine is the social development theory, primarily studying the work of Lev Vygotsky. We are diving into these theories to see how they can relate to our different forms of teaching music. So let's get started. So what is the social development theory? The SDT is a theory that argues that social interaction precedes development, and consciousness and cognition are the end product of socialization and social behavior. This theory is one of the foundations of constructivism. Constructivism is the proposed method of knowledge development based on an individual's active participation in problem solving and critical thinking. Now, with all that being said, that's a little hard for me to comprehend just reading that. So in layman's terms, Vygotsky believed that we do not learn because we have developed. We develop because we have learned. Who is Lev Vygotsky? Lev Vygotsky was a Russian psychologist. He was born in a small town, Orsha, Belarus, in 1896, and he was the second oldest of 8 children. He took care of the younger children often to help his parents out. And his parents were educated and of the Jewish faith. But during Tsarist Russia, his family was limited to places to live, study, and work. Vygotsky was fortunate to have a private tutor. He wanted to be a teacher, but this was not allowed before the revolution. However, Vygotsky was very fortunate and was accepted into Moscow University to study medicine. He determined medicine was not for him, however, and he transferred to law and also studied philosophy and history. He graduated in 1917, but unfortunately had multiple cases of tuberculosis, and due to his illness and his early death at the young age of 37, most of his theories were left incomplete. He did put much thought, though, and research into his social development theory. The principle of this theory, as you can see here, is that cognitive development is limited to a certain range at any given age, and full cognitive development requires social interaction. We are social beings. Look at all the ways we interact through many forms of social media, group discussions and conferences, in the classroom, or maybe just over a cup of coffee. We learn from each other every single day. With that being said, our first major theme in the social development theory is social interaction. This plays a big role in his theory. It is thought that social learning precedes development. We develop because we learn. And first the child develops between people on the social level, and then the child develops individually. We can see this in this diagram with social interaction as our key concept in the middle, and all around it the benefits of this interaction. That it precedes development. It plays a central role in cognitive development. We learn through experiences and our senses. It accelerates language, and self-initiated discovery begins as well. Collaborative dialogue is also a benefit. As music teachers, we see this happening all the time. I'm especially thinking of when I take my high school marching band to play for the kindergarten students. We stand and play for them, but then my students' favorite part is when they break up into sections and then interact with the children and their teachers. They touch the instruments, they run through the color guard flags, they make noises with their mouths like they were playing on a big tuba. And they listen to the high school students tell them all about band. It's a great experience for all involved and really develops these key concepts. This story of my high school marching band brings us to our second major theme in the social development theory, and that is the more knowledgeable other. In my example, the more knowledgeable other was the high school students, but the MKO is simply anyone who has a better understanding or a higher ability level than the learner. An MKO can be a teacher, a parent, a coach, a peer, even a younger person, or a computer. Think of all the YouTube videos out there teaching us how to do just about anything. Now that we know what an MKO is, we can go into our third major theme in the social development theory, and that is the zone of proximal development. The ZPD is the distance between a student's ability to perform a task with guidance or collaboration and the student's ability to solve the problem on their own. This diagram shows you simply what that looks like. Vygotsky believed that in order to learn, we need tasks that are just out of reach of our present abilities. If a task is too simple, it does not promote learning because we already know how to do it. For example, the music student who only practices the part they know already, or the band director that only does the scale, the B-flat scale, and nothing else. But on the other hand, if a task is too complex, it becomes frustrating, and therefore we do not learn because we give up, like going from the B-flat scale perhaps right to the F-sharp major scale, with nothing in between. So we, the teachers, are the MKOs for our students, and we need to draw in our students into the zone of proximal development, where the students can master skills and knowledge with assistance, but not yet independently. Vygotsky claimed learning occurs just above the current level of competence. Students' ZPD are constantly changing and expanding. As their knowledge and skills change and expand, full development at the ZPD depends upon full social interaction. In our music classes, we teach with this concept in mind all the time. We just may not have known what it was called. Beginning band students who are learning their instruments for the first time would become way too frustrated with it by themselves, and they would give up eventually. However, when that student is helped by a more knowledgeable other, such as the teacher or a more advanced student that can guide them, that student will soon understand the skills needed to play that instrument and eventually play independently, which is obviously our ultimate goal. In order for a learner to reach their full potential and for their ZPD to expand, scaffolding must take place. And the term scaffolding wasn't actually coined by Vygotsky. It was first introduced by Jerome Bruner, David Wood, and Gail Ross while they were applying Vygotsky's zone of proximal development to various educational contexts. Vygotsky's scaffolding is a technique that involves changing the level of support for learning. Just like a piece of scaffolding helps us get higher off the ground, psychological scaffolding helps the learner expand his or her zone of proximal development, or expand his or her mind, and gets higher. It is tailored to the needs of the student with the intention of promoting a deeper level of learning. This diagram lays it out for us. You notice on the left that the teacher, or MKO, uses scaffolding on the student who then responds. The student's learning is contingent on the teacher's scaffolding. Eventually, the more knowledgeable other, or the teacher, will fade out more and more and gives more and more responsibility to the student. The knowledge is being transferred. The zone of proximal development is expanding, and this all happens over a period of time. As I go through some examples of scaffolding, I will also include what a music curriculum might look like if we were to use scaffolding in our teaching to broaden and expand our student zone of proximal development. One example might be giving a personal or verbal cue to recall previous knowledge. How about the beginning of the year when we are testing our students' memories on what they learned the year before? All the theory questions we might ask, and all teachers do this, not excluding the music teachers. We might explain new content. I would say this probably happens daily. The great part of our job is the variety, and the variety of students and personalities that they have, and the variety of music that we get to play or sing. No 2 days are alike, and we explain new content daily. We might diagram to represent a new concept. The Pyramid of Balance by Francis Macbeth comes to mind when discussing a visual approach to what we are doing in band class with balance. Writing that diagram up on the board really helps them to see what I want. We might demonstrate with models. For us, this is simply modeling our instruments or a beautiful tone on how to sing the phrase with good dynamics. We model or demonstrate with models all the time. Daily life examples are an example of scaffolding. Teaching marching band has allowed me to teach life lessons and give life examples on a daily basis, demonstrating how to work hard by being the example. All teachers can and should do this by simple things like showing up early and being the last one to leave, to communicate regularly and not just by text, email, or Remind 101, but give people a call or talk to them face to face. And that brings up another scaffolding example of discussion. Having discussions with the class or with their parents. And that can lead to problem solving. And of course, we all go on field trips from time to time. I do believe that Vygotsky was right in many ways when he said that we develop because we have learned. Music educators are rare in that many times we get to see our students for longer than just a year. In my case, I get to watch them develop, grow, and mature, becoming stronger musicians and people over a 7-year time frame. And I have no doubt that learning has taken place because of social interaction and learning from a more knowledgeable other. We see their zone of proximal development expanding all the time. We are lucky educators. Thank you for watching my video about Lev Vygotsky's social development theory, and I hope you have gained some valuable insight over this topic.